I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House. With those words, Attorney General Pam Bondi set the stage for one of the most contentious exchanges in a recent Senate hearing. When Senator Dick Durbin questioned her about the deployment of National Guard troops to his home state of Illinois, he was met with a wall of silence. But the confrontation didn't stop there. It escalated to a stunning accusation involving a $400 million luxury jet, the royal family of Qatar, and a potential violation of the U.S. Constitution by the President himself. Today, we break down this extraordinary showdown, moment by moment. The hearing of the Senate Judiciary Committee was already tense. Democrats were grilling the Trump administration's top law enforcement officer, Attorney General Pam Bondi, on a range of controversial issues. Senator Dick Durbin, a high-ranking Democrat from Illinois, came prepared with two lines of attack. First, the administration's decision to send National Guard troops to cities like Chicago against the wishes of local leaders. Second, a story that has been simmering for months, President Trump's acceptance of a luxury jet from Qatar, a country where Bondi herself had previously worked as a legal representative, raising serious questions of conflict of interest and constitutional law. The exchange began with Senator Durbin's pointed question about the National Guard. The response was not what he expected.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Madam Attorney General, let me ask you this question. Were you consulted by the White House before they deployed National Guard troops to cities in the United States?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House.
You won't even say whether you talked to the White House about this?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House with you, Ranking Member.
I noticed that. What's the secret? Why do you want to keep this secret? The American people don't know the rationale behind the deployment of National Guard troops in my state. The word is, and I think it's been confirmed by the White House, they are going to transfer Texas National Guard units to the state of Illinois. What's the rationale for that?
Yeah, Chairman, as you shut down the government, you voted to shut down the government, and you're sitting here, our law enforcement officers aren't being paid. They're out there working to protect you. I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump.
Rebuffed on his first question, Durbin pivoted to an even more explosive topic, the $400 million jet from Qatar.
You testified under oath when you last before this committee that before your appointment to Attorney General, you had served as a representative of some sort for the royal family of Qatar. There was an issue that came before you in May when President Trump accepted a $400 million luxury jet from the royal family of Qatar for temporary use as Air Force One before it's permanently gifted to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation. The Constitution unequivocally bestows on Congress the power to control whether any officer of the United States, including the President, may accept a gift, quote, from any king, prince, or foreign state, end of quote. And this gift clearly violates the statutory regime enacted by Congress. You've refused to answer a letter I sent to you 5 months ago, asking the legal rationale you relied on to advise President Trump to accept this unprecedented gift from your former legal client. Can you make a promise today that you will disclose that?
Cornered on her past clients and a potential constitutional crisis, Attorney General Bondi went on the offensive.
To address my role with Qatar, as I addressed with you during my confirmation hearing, I disclosed it in my SJQ. In private practice, I worked for Qatar for anti-human trafficking for the World Cup. That was my only involvement, and I made that very clear, and I'm very proud of everything I've done with anti-human trafficking. Obviously, in preparing any advice for the President on a jet or anything else, we consult with the Office of Legal Counsel. The confidentiality applies to their input as well. And Chairman, if you would approve and vote to approve, as Chairman Grassley said, excuse me, Ranking Member, as Chairman Grassley said, my employees, we would answer your letters a lot faster, yet you're stalling them at every stop. And to go back to your previous question, your city has a murder rate 5 times higher than New York's. 571 homicides last year. If you were serious about protecting your people, you would be asking this administration for help. You're saying that we're coming into your state and your city. We're there to help make America safe and Illinois safe, whether or not you want to.
This exchange is a masterclass in political deflection and stonewalling. Let's analyze the tactics. Durbin's questions were direct and based on his constitutional oversight responsibilities. He asked for the legal rationale behind two major executive actions. Bondi's response strategy was threefold. First, refused to answer, citing internal conversations with the White House. This is a common tactic to block congressional oversight. Second, attack the questioner. Instead of answering about the National Guard, she attacked Durbin's record on crime in his home city. This is a classic whataboutism designed to change the subject. Third, reframe the issue. When asked about the Qatar jet, she didn't address the constitutional conflict, but instead defended her past anti-human trafficking work and blamed Durbin for stalling her employee nominations. She successfully turned every question about her actions into an attack on Durbin's, at the end of the day, a sitting U.S. Senator asked the nation's top law enforcement officer for the legal basis of sending troops to his state and accepting a foreign gift for the president. He received no answers. This exchange highlights the growing tension between Congress and the executive branch over transparency and accountability. The question for the American people is simple. Should the Attorney General be required to explain the legal reasoning behind such monumental decisions, or is citing internal conversations a legitimate reason to keep Congress and, by extension, the public in the dark? Let us know what you think.